Hello and welcome back to the GC. Today we're doing something a little bit different on the channel. We are planning on doing a top 10 list for the first console that I really played when I was younger, and that is the NES. And this is the console that really got me into gaming and got me to basically where I am today. I'm going to show you my top 10. You may think differently. A lot of these games were ones that we played when we were growing up. So it's more a nostalgia trip back to my childhood. And there was a few games that probably could be in this list that I've never played or I've never heard of. So they may be in your list. Please let me know down in the comments what you'd add in your lists. And if anything that's on my list that you wouldn't have in yours. It's good to hear other people's opinions. And there might be a few surprises. There might be a few shocks that are left out as well. Here's my top 10. NES. So the first one on the list, in at number 10, Lemmings. Fantastic game, and it's one of those games that you could have hours of fun on, and it could be different every time you played it. Having that challenge to get every single lemming to the end of that level, and sometimes having a bit of fun and letting them all die. So Lemmings is a 1991 puzzle strategy game that was released first on the Amiga and then ported to the NES. I believe that the Amiga game was far superior to the NES game, but was, again, still great fun. And one of those games that you can go back to over and over again. And it really was an enjoyable one. So yeah, number 10, Lemmings. So, number 9, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. Fantastic game, released on the NES. Early 1990, this one. It was released in Europe. And we spent many a times playing this one. I didn't own it on my own console, my dad's console at the time. And this is one I've picked up later. For my NES collection. We tended to play this one down my cousin's house, and it was one of those ones that we put in to the console numerous times and had hours of fun again playing this one. So Chip 'n Dale was a platform-based game, and it was published by Capcom. Capcom released several good games, particularly the games like Chip 'n Dale, so like cartoon-based games in the early 90s, and they made some fantastic games for the console, this being one of them. Chip 'n Dale 2 was then later released. Unfortunately, that wasn't released in the UK, and that was just released in Japan and the USA, so we didn't get the the luxury of playing the second one. So Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers in at number 9. So in at number 8, Gunsmoke. This was a vertically scrolling shooter video game. Very unique for its time. A lot of the games you would see were using spacecrafts, spaceships, that sort of thing. This was the first one that really used a guy or a human to do that vertical scrolling shooting, and it was quite a difficult game. And another one that was released or published by Capcom in the early 1985. But again, there's another one that you can go back to and it will be different every single time you play it. Always like the challenge of trying to get to the end. I tend to struggle through the first level a lot of the time, trying to make sure I got everything along the way and picking up the horse. Again, another one, great fun. This was another one we didn't have as a child. It's one, again, I played on my cousin's console. And I myself have picked up since starting my NES collection. So, to no one's surprise that this one was going to be on my list. It's one of my designs for my mural and one of my all-time favourite games. But for the NES, it comes in at number 7. It's Bubble Bobble. Bubble Bobble was a platform game developed and published by Taito, originally for arcade cabinets in 1986. And there's another one, is lots of levels to this one. I think there's 100 levels in total, and you have to work your way through. You play as Bub or Bob if you're playing 2-player, and you have to shoot the baddies into bubbles and capture them to make your way through the levels. With this one, you could pick up loads of things along the way, like umbrellas and potions that would take you into special levels or skip you levels with the umbrella. And then they had the added bonus of the extend bubbles that you could pick up to gain extra lives along the way. It tended to get quite difficult as those levels went up. But it's another one of those. It's one of those games I go back to and play over and over again. One I played on the Amiga a lot, and picked up on the NES later in my collection. But a fantastic game, and anytime I see an arcade cabinet with Bubble Bobble, I've always got to give it a go. It's hours of fun. So, number 6, another game released by Capcom. That's the third one on this list. As you can see, some great games released by Capcom, and some of my all-time favourites for the NES. This one was released in July 1985, and was another one that was released for arcade cabinets. A very difficult game. You get to the end and you have to have a certain weapon to complete the end bad guy, and once you've done it and completed, you think you've done to the end, but no, it sends you back to the start and becomes harder again. So one of the hardest games to complete on the console, but it was a great game. So it was a run and gun platform game, shooting the ghosts and the goblins that are coming up, and then at the end of each level you had a main boss to take down. It released a few spin-offs. Gargoyle's Quest also released on the NES, and another good game. And then Maximo later in the for the PlayStation, which I have since picked up. But again, tough but very, very good game. So in at number 5, talking about tough games, here's another one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had some very difficult levels on this game. Another great one to play. If you're a big fan of the Turtles, which I was growing up, watching all the cartoons, and still a big fan of the Turtles. They've made some great games throughout the history of the consoles. This one was released in 1989 in Europe. It was an action platform game, and this one was developed by Konami. There was one level in particular that you get very early on in the game, which was the water level, and you have to stop the dam from being blown up, and you have to guide the turtles through the seaweed and through other objects. And the amount of times that I died, and I'm sure many other people would have as well, getting through that level, and I'm sure a few controllers were thrown across the room when playing that level. But a fantastic game. One of the, I think, still one of the best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games to this day. And I know there are a few good ones, Turtles in Time being one of those, but this one was a real good classic game for me. Again, another one I didn't have on the console and played on my other cousin's console a lot of times. So this is another one I've since picked up for my own NES. Brilliant game. So in at number 4, this one might surprise a few people. It might not be on many people's list, but this is one of those games that I came back to play over and over again, and that is Ivan Ironman Stewart's Super Off-Road. This one was released in 1989 and was one of the games that my dad actually had on his console. I loved playing this game and making my way up through the levels, and it got harder as it went on. The grey car was always a pain to beat in some of these levels. Again, it's another one I had hours of fun on and been back to since, to try and make my way to the end. And it was it was a fantastic race, a different kind of racer, and with the off-road element, and it's a game that I go back to over and over again, which is why it's made number 4 here on the list. And really enjoyed this one. Top 3. We'll start here with Super Mario Brothers 2. So, Super Mario Brothers 2 is one of the unloved games of the Mario franchise. It was the original Super Mario Brothers 2 was released in Japan, and was deemed too hard for the American and British audiences. So it never came across until later in the console. So it actually didn't come across till the Super Nintendo, where it was released on the Super Mario All-Stars. So we didn't get to see that one when it first came out. And another game, Doki Doki Panic, was adapted, and the characters were changed to Mario characters. That was then ported across to America and Europe as Super Mario Brothers 2. And it's one of those games that not many people enjoyed as much. But for me, I absolutely loved it. And some of the characters that were in the Western Super Mario Brothers 2 have stayed in the Mario franchise, and you've seen over again, particularly Birdo, Shy Guys, just to name a couple. Some of my favourite characters come from this game. One, Triclyde, Mauser, who I have since made 2 Lego characters of. If you've watched the Games Room tour, if not, give it a watch. You will see some of my Lego designs in there, and they are 2 of them, including Birdo as well. But yeah, a fantastic Mario Brothers game. And I think it was because it was so different that's why I enjoyed it so much, and that's why it's made my top 3. So in at number 2, where would I be without this game? Double Dragon 2, The Revenge. If you were to ask me, what game would you pick up and play over and over again, this would be one of them. Fantastic game. Released in 1988. It's a beat-em-up video game, and it was developed and published by Technos Japan for arcade units. I never played the first one in the series till later in my life, but Double Dragon 2 was one that I used to play a lot on my cousin's console, and since I've played a lot on my Nintendo Switch with the ability to play those NES games, Super Nintendo games, that sort of thing on the go. It's one of those ones, if I'm not sure what I'm going to play, this was generally one of those games. It's a fantastic game. I've completed it so many times now. I know how all the tricks and how the flips to make sure that you get through the game really quickly. There was a few levels that were quite tricky, especially jumping over the gap. The amount of times I've lost a few lives on that one, but I think the time when it was the most fun is when you were playing 2-player and that you could attack each other. Not many games did that, and that was great fun. That I used to play with my cousin and with my brother, just beating each other up instead of actually playing the game. And I've since played with my brother's daughter, my niece. So getting other people or youngsters into retro video games is what it's all about. Yeah, and I will still go back till this day and play this game over and over again. Number 2, Double Dragon 2, The Revenge. So again, to no one's surprise, this is my top NES game, Super Mario Bros. 3. And still, till this day, with the amount of Mario releases, games, including games like Mario Kart. But the platform Mario games, this is the one that is my favourite of all time. And it just pips Super Mario World, which again was a great game. Super Mario Bros. 3. It's the game that I played the most on the NES. It's the game I go back to the most on the NES. I just love it. It's a fantastic game. And I actually find it, I enjoy it more than I do some of the modern Mario games. I'd rather pick up Super Mario Bros. 3 than play some of the newer ones. Like Galaxy, Mario, even Mario Wonder, which, you know, I really enjoyed. But Mario 3 was the one I go back to all the time, going up through the levels and defeating the Koopa Kids. Yeah, it was fantastic fun. So Super Mario Bros. 3 was released in Europe not till August of 1991, after being released in 1988 in Japan. So the rest of the world had to wait for this one. And there was so much anticipation for it. They did a film which was based on a gaming competition, and they played Super Mario Bros. 3 in that one at the end, and that was the first time that America saw Super Mario Bros. 3. So it just brought that so much more anticipation for the game, and what a game! Like the power-ups, the raccoon, you've got the Tanuki, you've got the sledgehammer, some real iconic power-ups, and again, it had some fantastic baddies in it. Obviously the Koopa Kids, and were just something out. They just brought something else to the series, and then you see them again in Mario World. Yeah, my all-time favourite game for the NES, all-time Super Mario Brothers game, Super Mario Brothers 3.